Ever wondered how to transform your single Sansevieria into a thriving collection? Stick around because we're diving into every detail you need to master propagation from scratch. Welcome to this explainer where we are going to dive into the exact science and the step-by-step methods to transform a single snake plant into your very own thriving indoor jungle. Now you might already know that snake plants, which were actually technically reclassified recently as Dracaena, but hey, most of us still lovingly call them Sansevieria, are famously indestructible. They're these incredible structural houseplants, famous for being low maintenance and for their totally unique ability to convert CO2 into oxygen at night. They do this through a really cool process called CAM photosynthesis. But while they are definitely tough as nails, multiplying them actually requires some pretty specific techniques. If you do it wrong, you run straight into their absolute #1 killer, root rot.
All right, so here is our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the propagation toolkit, method 1, which is root division, method 2, which is leaf cuttings, the variegation secret, and finally, troubleshooting and care.
Let's kick things off with section 1, the propagation toolkit.
Before we make a single cut, we really need to gather the right materials to ensure our propagation environment is completely sterile and set up for success. We are putting a huge emphasis here on preparation and hygiene. Having a sharp, sterilized blade wiped down with 70% isopropyl alcohol is absolutely crucial for clean cuts. Seriously, blunt or dirty blades are just an open invitation for bacterial soft rot, which will literally turn your new cuttings to mush before they even get a chance to grow. You're going to want to pair that clean cut with a well-draining cactus mix, ideally amended with some extra perlite or pumice to keep your snake plant's roots from just sitting in water. Standard houseplant soil simply retains way too much moisture for these succulents. Oh, and of course, make sure your pots actually have proper drainage holes.
Moving right along to section 2, method 1, root division.
Root division is without a doubt the absolute fastest, most reliable way to multiply your plant. I actually remember repotting my very first snake plant and being totally shocked to find these massive, thick orange stems buried down in the dirt, while those are called rhizomes. To really understand division, we have to look underground. Snake plants store massive amounts of energy and water in these thick underground stems, which makes them the perfect biological engine for generating a completely new, healthy plant. If you take a look at any mature snake plant, you'll often see these smaller plants, we call them pups, popping up through the soil right next to the main leaves. Those pups are directly attached to the mother plant by these rhizomes.
So here is exactly how you divide them. First things first, gently wiggle the plant out of its pot and wash the potting mix off the roots so you can clearly see that whole rhizome network. Next, grab your sterilized shears and cut a firm section of rhizome. You want to aim for at least 2 inches long and make sure it has a bud or a pup attached to it. Now pay attention because step 3 is the crucial point. You must let that cut rhizome dry out and form a callus in indirect light for 24 to 48 hours. This is non-negotiable. If you plant a fresh, wet cut directly into the dirt, you are directly inviting fungus and rot. Finally, plant only the bottom third of the rhizome into fresh, dry, well-draining soil.
And this brings us to exactly why division is considered the gold standard. Check this out. If you follow these exact steps, especially that drying phase we just talked about, propagating by rhizome division boasts an incredible 92 to 97% success rate. It's fast, it's incredibly efficient, and the best part is that the new plant already has a root system it can rely on. Next up, section 3, method 2, leaf cuttings. Now, what if your plant hasn't outgrown its pot yet? Or maybe you just don't have any pups to divide? No problem. You can actually propagate directly from the leaves themselves. This method is incredibly fun, though it does require quite a bit more patience. First, you'll snip a healthy, mature leaf right from the base of the plant. Then, cut that leaf into horizontal sections that are about 3 to 4 inches long. Now here is a massive pro tip for you. Cut an inverted V shape or just a little notch into the bottom of each cutting. Why? Because snake plant leaves actually have polarity. If you accidentally plant them upside down, they will literally never root. That little notch just helps you remember which way is down. Let those cuttings callus for 2 to 3 days, and then simply place the calloused bottom into your light soil mix or a glass of clean, filtered water.
But look at the stark contrast between these two methods. Leaf cuttings are incredibly slow. We're talking anywhere from 12 to 26 weeks just to see a single new shoot. It's also super energetically costly for the plant, which drops your success rate all the way down to around 28 to 41%. But hold on, look at that very last bullet point. Leaf cuttings revert to solid green? What's that about?
Well, that perfectly tees up Section 4, the variegation secret.
You might have noticed that leaf cuttings actually lose their colorful stripes when they grow into new plants. Let's look at the fascinating plant botany behind exactly why this happens. Variegated snake plants, like the incredibly popular Laurentii variety with those bright yellow margins, are actually what botanists call periclinal chimeras. Basically, this means their beautiful coloring actually comes from genetic differences between entirely distinct tissue layers stacked right inside the plant's leaves.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why you must use root division if you want to keep those yellow stripes. See, when you take a leaf cutting, the new adventitious roots and the new pups are generated from just one single tissue layer, and in Sansevieria that is typically the green layer. Leaf cuttings simply lack the full genetic structure to pass that variegation on. So if you try to propagate a yellow-edged Laurentii from a leaf cutting in a glass of water, the baby plant that eventually sprouts is going to be completely, entirely green. If you want to keep those stripes, you absolutely have to divide the rhizome.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, troubleshooting and care. Let's see how to maintain your newly propagated pups and make sure we avoid the most common pitfalls of indoor gardening. Think of this as your quick reference guide for your biggest threats. If your previously tall, proud leaves are suddenly getting all soft, mushy, or drooping over, you are more than likely overwatering, which causes root rot. You'll need to jump in, trim those rotten roots, and repot it in dry soil immediately. Now, what if your leaves are becoming narrow, stretched out, and really thin? That's a process called etiolation. While snake plants can definitely tolerate low light, they don't exactly thrive in it. They will stretch and deform if they don't get enough bright, indirect sun. And lastly, if the leaves are curling inward or look severely wrinkled, they are using up their internal water reserves. This is usually due to extreme heat or prolonged underwatering.
So this brings us to the most crucial point, the golden rule. Because these plants are succulents that literally store water in their thick leaves and those underground rhizomes we talked about, your absolute best defense against failure is just to let the soil dry out completely between waterings. Don't water them on a strict weekly schedule. Just test the soil with your finger. If it feels even slightly damp, wait.
Armed with the science of chimeras, the exact steps for root division, and the proper soil setup, you now have absolutely everything you need to confidently multiply your snake plant collection today. So what's it going to be? Which method will you try first? The speedy root division, or maybe the fascinating leaf cutting experiment? The information provided in this explainer is based on expert knowledge and personal experience. Individual results may vary, and it's important to adjust care methods according to your specific environment and plant needs. Always consult with a plant specialist if you are unsure about any step. Happy gardening!